walkthrough, playthrough, review, anything like that. It's just me playing the game badly, so you can see what it looks like. Right then, in my quest to collect every game I ever had on my PlayStation 1 back in the day, this is Need for Speed 1, the original one. The first, I would say the first one, but it's not, because the first one was on the 3DO, and I bought this back in the day because I had played it on a friend's 3DO and absolutely loved it. And then I got this, and I remember being disappointed because the handling wasn't as good. It is so long since I played it that I can't remember. I don't know how accurate that assessment was. I do really enjoy Need for Speed on the 3DO. Okay, I don't know what the bloody controls are now. Can I change the view? Ah, that's better. Oh, no analog control. Oh, this is... I remember this. Well, so far the handling doesn't feel bad. I used to drive the Porsche, I think, the 911 on the 3DO, and I absolutely loved the way it kind of wallowed, and that was a new thing. I mean, up until that point I'd been playing computer games or Mega Drive games, you know, 16-bit stuff, where handling was... well, they didn't really handle. You either went round the corner or you didn't, and that was it. There was no feel or anything. And so the first time I played Need for Speed on the 3DO, here was this lovely wallowing feel. I mean, obviously you don't really want your car to wallow, but the fact that it did, I found quite incredible. And then I got this. Oops. And yeah, it did that. There's no feel. I mean, yes, if you go round the corner too fast, it will go off. You'll understeer and you'll fly into the scenery. But it's not... Yeah, you do have a giveaway that you're going too fast because you've got the sound of the tyres, but it's really hard to actually explain where the feel comes from. Since you're not in a car, there is no body movement or anything. No seat... Whoops. Oh, bloody hell. I can't really explain it, except to say that this feels wooden compared to the 3DO version. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this purely as a nostalgia trip, because I remember, whoops, these graphics, this track, me being crap on it. Actually, I wasn't, well, was I crap? I practiced back then, you know, I won. If I remember rightly, this is the game where if you go right through and complete all the levels, you get a kind of space, futuristic sci-fi kind of track. It's all purplish, if I remember rightly. It was quite funky and very like a roller coaster ride kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that was this. So I must have done reasonably well back then to have reached that. I'm certainly not going to do that today. I was also really impressed with these pictures, and there are video cutscenes as well, and it was like, until I got the PS1, my main gaming system was, well, I was split between three actually. I was playing on the, yes, it was more than three. I was playing on the Amiga, the Mega Drive, the SNES, and the 32X. But compared to all of those, you know, the PS1 was such a huge, big leap. And seeing all this full motion video and a really cool still photos, it was a breath of fresh air. You look at them now and it's like, yeah, so what? But back then, it mattered. I remember this track. I can't find the gears. Okay, that's weird. The up and down are the R1 and R2, which is totally not what modern racing games are like. Apart, well, that and the fact that it's square to accelerate and circle to brake, which is completely alien. Yeah. But of course, at the time that this came out, controls on the PlayStation pad just weren't standardized. You know, these days everyone uses the same controls, more or less. So you'd be like L1 or R1 on a modern game. So it takes a little bit of getting back into the swing of this. Doing embarrassingly badly, given that I beat this back in the day. I'm kind of really fussy with driving games these days. It's largely Gran Turismo or nothing. But back on the PS1, the first racing game I bought was Ridge Racer, and I only really like Ridge Racer 1, I have to say. Everything since then I've been like, meh, I don't like the handling. So it was like Ridge Racer, this, V-Rally, yeah, and then Gran Turismo came along, and that was it. I never looked at another racing game again, really. All the others went out the window, and I mean, I love Need for Speed on the 3DO, and this is kind of entertaining as well. So yes, as I was saying before I paused, I love Need for Speed on the 3DO, and I'm quite liking it here on the PS1, but I've never liked another Need for Speed game since. Everything after it, just, especially the modern ones, oh, they really don't do it for me. It's all got kind of like too much about the cop chases and stuff. Yeah, they develop this kind of attitude thing that I just don't like. I just want to race. No messing around, no gimmicks. It got so gimmicky. Saying that, I mean, there is a modern one that I probably will get. What the hell is it called? Need for Speed Shift, I think that's the one. It's like just racing. They've gone back to racing, and that appeals to me, so I'll probably get that. But all the others, I just couldn't give a monkey's, and it's a shame because it all started out so promisingly. Oh, get off of there. Doing embarrassingly badly. I seem to remember this game having that elastic band kind of physics competitor thing, you know, where if you went slow you could catch them up, if they went slow you know, it supposedly kept everyone close together and made for more exciting racing, and it really pissed me off back then. I'm thinking it's probably something I need right now, because I'm, well, kind of near the back. Well, alright, at the back. I remember that waterfall I just drove past a minute ago, and being impressed. I was like, wow, waterfall, how cool. Look at it now and it's like, that's a nice mess of pixels. It is easy to forget just how pixelated and blocky and whatever PS1 games were. There it is again, look. Nice. It's easy to forget just how groundbreaking all of this was back then. I mean, there were some PC games that were 3D and impressive, and indeed, you know, did work better than this. But you needed a beast of a machine to do it, and it's the same today. Whoops, that's not at all what I wanted to do. But yes, hideous as it might look, it was groundbreaking. 3D back then, up to the PS1, well, up to the 3DO anyway, were, if you wanted 3D, you were just looking at flat shaded polygons, and the Amiga did that quite well, and so did the PC. And your Super FX games on the SNES. But texture mapped stuff, that was special. I remember rightly, there are only about 3 tracks on the 3DO version, and this is one of them. It was fun. No! Cat trying to grab the camera. That would be good. Oh! I don't know how to... a guy was playing with his horn, which means there's got to be a horn control, and I don't know. I want it. How do I honk me horn? I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Yeah. This. Actually, I think that I don't know. I should probably put the 3DO version on and compare them at some point. This, to me, seems to move more smoothly than the 3DO version of this track, but I've got to say that the road texture is pretty nasty. So I don't know. I can't really say how they compare. I do think this is more fluid, better frame rate, but textures maybe not so good, but maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Actually moving more fluidly than I remember it moving at all on any of the systems I played it on, which is nice. Oops. Corner? What corner? I saw no corner. Oh, I can actually see other cars here. How unusual. Oh, but they still beat me. How predictable. Oh, I love the way the polygons bend and shear, and the textures and everything. Just at the end of that you can see that bent building. Okay, I've switched cars. I'm now in a Mazda RX-7. Whoops, I must still forget to put it in gear. Yes, you gotta love the RX-7. Any car that can, like, make the name of that engine popular, or you know, common parlance, you've gotta love an engine called a wankle. It's great. I know, completely juvenile, but you know, I'm male. What do you expect? I think I'm going to play all the tracks here. Anyone who's bored, do feel free to stop watching, because it will just be me sitting here playing all the tracks, coming last, just because I can. It's like I started, now I don't want to stop, so I'm going to film all of them. And to hell with it. Whoops. They are pretty, or at least they were pretty back in the day anyway. Ah, the joys of small, limited SD card sizes. Spot of dodgy editing, and we're back on the road. Miles behind, but that's normal. Was I saying anything interesting? I can't remember. Probably not. Something about it being pretty. Back in the day this was pretty. I still can't. I'm managing to change up a gear, but when it comes to changing gear without thinking about it, and any braking, because the accelerate and brake are totally the wrong way round. I'm used to X to accelerate and square to brake, not the other way around. So it's a bit... it's just all wrong. I think the music was a big deal as well when this came out. Yeah, having the music streamed off the CD. I've changed cars again. I'm in the Toyota Supra. Back then I knew nothing about cars. I don't drive. And then, at that time, I had no interest in cars at all, and it wasn't until I started playing Gran Turismo that I got interested in cars. That being the case, when I used to play this game, the only car I used to drive, actually I would drive two of them, I was either in the Ferrari or the Dodge Viper, because they were the only cars I found remotely interesting, and I didn't really know what any of the others were. Oh, and the Lamborghini. Alright, and the Porsche. Okay, I didn't drive the Japanese cars. But then I got Gran Turismo and I kind of got to know what all of these cars were and which were cool and which weren't. And oh, this is probably a better game in terms of the cars than I gave it credit for at the time, because it's got some cool cars in it. So here I am in the Supra, last again. Am I? No, I'm not actually last, am I? That's most unusual. Don't worry, I'll be last before the end, no problem. This is that piece of track that every time I play it, and I say this numerous times, it reminds me of a piece of road in between the town I grew up in, well, I spent some of my childhood in, my younger years, up until I was like 8. A town called Towcester in Northamptonshire. So yes, this is like a stretch of road between Towcester and Northampton. So it seems to me anyway. Obviously it isn't, because they didn't have all the big pine trees and stuff, but it's something about the curves and the hills. And I do get that in a lot of racing games. I'll come across a stretch of road and think, wow, this looks familiar. It didn't have the mountains in the background either. Whoops. There are no mountains in Northamptonshire. Very disappointing. Yeah, there was a bit on this track where if you crashed, you would fly up through the roof of a tunnel or something weird, if I remember rightly. Just weird stuff happening. But then I seem to recall the crashes on this thing are kind of spectacular anyway. I haven't done any. Mainly because I haven't been near enough to any of the other cars to crash badly. But yeah, I do seem to remember that. I think that's the last circuit. Yeah, okay. I'm not playing anymore. Need for Speed on the PlayStation 1. Seriously good fun. Thank you for watching. I'm trying to think of interesting things that I could say before I finish, and I can't because I don't know. Yes, brain dead. Thank you for watching.